Hi, my name is Susan Lees. This is a presentation on leadership awareness. It's a presentation for healthcare professionals who are working on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is going to help you and your teams work collaboratively in acute care areas. Just for this presentation, I'd like to define leadership as the art of motivating and guiding a team to achieve a common goal. There's 5 elements of leadership that you can use to help you build your foundation as a leader, and they are intuition, communication, collaboration, modeling, and respect and trust. Let's start with a really fun discussion, and that's really the discussion about intuition. You know and I know that whenever you walk into your department at the start of your shift, if you were to just stand there for 5 seconds and take in the energy of the department, you'd be able to tell what kind of day it's been. You'd be able to feel the energy in the department. You'd be able to feel stress, feel tension. Concurrently, you'd also be able to feel the calmness if it was a really good day. You don't even have to ask your colleagues, hey, how was your day? If you just stand there and take it all in, you can tell. I'm telling you this because I think it's really important that if it's been a stressful day, that you can communicate with your team in a way that will help break up that tension. Because if you don't, then you're just carrying stress with you from shift to shift to shift across the whole pandemic. And the goal is to be able to figure out ways to disrupt the tension so that your team can work together more cohesively and collaboratively during these stressful days ahead of us. Best way to do that is to communicate with them. And there's 4 components of communication, and they are listening, verbal communications, nonverbal communications, and micro-expressions. Listening helps you get to know your team. Listen to what they say when you ask them about who they are and why they chose to work in healthcare. From this conversation, you'll learn 2 lessons. 1, you'll learn your team's strengths, and you'll also learn the resources you have as a result of their experience in healthcare. If they came to you from an oncology unit or a geriatric unit, having those strengths with you on your team will help you as well. Take advantage of that, of their knowledge and experience. Next is verbal communication. Verbal communication consists of your word choice and vocal tone you use when collaborating or when you use communicating with your team. The more tactful you are as you communicate, the easier it'll be to earn your team's trust. And when I say tactful, I'm just basically saying taking into consideration their feelings and emotions when you communicate with them. Because the COVID-19 pandemic has been so stressful across our nation, you don't always know what's going on with them in their home lives and their private lives. I would encourage you to just be tactful when you need to have conversations with them that may not be easy for them to hear. Next is nonverbal communication, which includes your facial expressions and gestures. The gestures you use when you communicate. You're going to tell from this video that I do not use a lot of gestures when I communicate. If you do, just be aware of them. It's not saying they're good or bad. It's just saying just be aware of what your gestures are that you use when you communicate. Lastly is micro-expressions. I could talk to you for hours about micro-expressions. I won't, but I could. It's so fascinating because if you know micro-expressions and you know what they are and when to look for them, this will help you in caring for patients and families as well as your team, not just in a COVID unit, but any department in your hospital. Micro-expressions are those split-second nonverbal responses you see when you ask someone a question. It's just looking at the look on their face immediately after you ask them something. Just from what you interpret of the expression that they have, you'll be able to see how they're taking in what you're telling them. And that will just basically guide you as to where you need to go from there. In the emergency department where I used to work, we would be present with patients and families when they would hear things like, I'm sorry, your husband isn't going to make it through the night. And seeing the expression on the faces of our patients and families was just wrenching at times. And that just from seeing that expression would tell us where does the conversation need to go from there? Do they need time? Do they need space? Should we follow up? When should we ask them what kind of questions that they have for us? Micro-expressions are critical in any area of healthcare. Please know how they are when you're interacting with the patients and families and the team members that you are. Next is collaboration. Know your department. How do the different professionals in your department work together? How do the physicians work with the nurses, the radiologists, respiratory techs, lab techs? How does everybody work together? And then how does that extend throughout your hospital? Is there the interactions across departments with your team to their team? How are they going, and how can you set each other up for success? Having a really streamlined collaborative process will help not only enhance the care throughout your hospital, it'll also help enhance the cohesiveness of your team so that you can help each other out when one department is really stressed. Next is to model leadership and professionalism. Model leadership to your team no matter how busy your department is. Stay grounded in who you are and your goals for your team throughout your shift. Pay attention to the way managers and C-level executives model leadership to you too. A lot of times their leadership style may be something that you can also adapt to your own leadership style, and you're going to see this every day in the interactions that you have with them. Take advantage of that because you can learn a lot about leadership just from seeing the way that they interact every day. Lastly is respect and trust. Set your team up for success by being supportive of them. You'll earn their respect and trust, especially during these challenging days. Also, I know we don't need to talk about this, I'm just going to bring it up a little bit, and that's to guard your integrity. Stay congruent in your values, actions, and the mission and vision of your hospital. This will also foster your team's respect and trust. Most importantly, thank you for the work you're doing in caring for the patients, families, and colleagues you serve. Stay strong, stay safe. Please let our team at Core's Leadership know if we can be of any assistance to you. There should be a link under this video that you can see. Let us know if we can help you too. Take care.